my name is Hannah Banana, and welcome to my channel, where we cook meals together, measuring with our hearts and to fill our loved ones' bellies. I know making doughs can be a bit intimidating, so for today's recipe, I'll be showing you how to make an easy pizza dough. Once the pizza dough is done, I will show you how to make my delicious barbecue chicken pizza. This is a delicious meal that can also be a fun activity to do with your family, which also serves about 2 to 3 people. All right, enough talking, let's get cooking. For today's recipe, for the dough specifically, you will need olive oil, sugar, all-purpose flour, a mixing bowl, measuring spoons and a measuring cup, instant yeast, salt, and garlic powder. For the pizza itself, you are going to need mozzarella and cheddar cheese, barbecue sauce, whichever barbecue sauce you prefer, and then basil leaves for the toppings. And then the chicken portion, you can use your own chicken breasts and cook them, which is what I'm going to be doing, or you can utilize a rotisserie chicken, which is just the easier option. To start off the dough, we're going to do 1 cup of all-purpose flour. Next, you'll need your fast-rising instant yeast. Next, add in your 3/4 teaspoons of salt. Next, add 1.5 teaspoons of sugar. And for the last part, I don't measure the garlic powder that I add. This just adds a little bit of flavor to the dough itself. So I just sprinkle in your desired amount, which I just do about that much. Now we will mix everything together. Just get all of those ingredients nice and mixed. Once everything is stirred together, you're going to add 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And then 3/4 a cup of warm water. Once the warm water and 2 tablespoons of olive oil is added to your flour, you're going to utilize a wooden spoon to stir everything together really well, and it's going to start forming into that dough. Once your dough is a more consistent, thick, cohesive dough like this, you are going to start adding in 1 cup of flour slowly as you're stirring. This is gonna start forming the dough itself into that sticky ball. You might need a little more flour than a cup, but usually a cup does the trick to get the dough nice and sticky. The goal is to make it so that the dough does not stick to the bowl anymore. Again, just keep adding as necessary. This is the consistency that you're gonna want the dough to start looking like. You can add a little more. Perfect. Now that the dough is nice and formed into a ball, we're going to drizzle the bowl with olive oil. You can use a separate bowl. I just went ahead and took my dough out, rinsed this one out, and wiped it down. But if it's easier for you to use a separate bowl, that's totally fine. Just less dishes for me. But what I'm doing now is I'm drizzling the whole bowl in olive oil, because we're gonna put the dough back in the bowl with the olive oil so that it can then rise. So let's go ahead and put the dough into the bowl with the olive oil and just kind of move it around like so. And this is where I kind of just like to form it into a nice cohesive dough. And you just kind of keep rolling it around to get it nice and coated with olive oil. Once you've drizzled the bowl with olive oil and coated the dough itself with the olive oil and it looks nice and slimy like this, we're going to wrap the bowl with plastic wrap. I like to make sure it's extra secure and wrapped. So I usually wrap it up a couple times, and sometimes you will have technical difficulties like I am right now. I do it both ways just to make sure no air is getting in. Now that we have the dough covered with this saran wrap, we're going to let the dough rise. And you want to make sure that the dough rises in a warmer environment. I live in Arizona, so it's hot in here no matter what. So I'm going to just leave it in the kitchen to rise by itself. If you live in a colder environment, you can go ahead and turn your oven on and set it on top of the oven just to let that warmth come up. But you're going to want to let the dough rise for about an hour or until it's about 2 to 3 sizes bigger than what it is now. While the dough is rising, go ahead and preheat the oven to 350. Now let's go ahead and season our chicken breast. I'm going to use the onion powder, garlic powder, Cajun seasoning, and some Italian. Let's go ahead and do both sides and repeat the process. Okay, so our chicken is seasoned, the oven is ready. Let's put this in the oven and cook for 1 hour. Okay, so it's been about an hour, so let's take a look at our pizza dough. And it's about 2 to 3 times the size as we started. So we're going to take this out and start kneading it into the flour. I have a little bit of leftover flour here from when we made the dough, so I'm just gonna put it right here onto this flat surface. Now what I'm gonna do is transfer the pizza dough onto this. So delicious. And we're just gonna roll it in the flour. Look at that dough. I'm telling you guys, your family is gonna love this. And it's such a fun thing to do with family, or even have like a pizza night with your friends. Let's add a little more flour. Just the rest of that. Perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of move some of this flour aside because we're gonna start rolling it into a flat circle. We're just gonna flatten the pizza dough out. You can make your pizza dough however big or small you want it. Okay, I think that's pretty good size-wise. Okay, so I had my husband help me transfer the dough onto this pizza pan because I couldn't do it on my own. But we first panned this pizza pan just so that it doesn't stick to the pan once it's done cooking. But now that we have the dough flat on the pizza pan, we're going to make the crust. You can make the crust however thick or thin or however you want. You just want to fold the ends over and then kind of pinch it. Once you finish pinching the crust, this is what it should look like. Now what we're gonna do is poke the pizza with a fork. This is just to prevent any air bubbles when it's cooking in the oven. So you just get your fork and you just do this all around. Now we have all of our fork holes, the air bubble holes done. We're going to add a little bit of olive oil onto the pizza. I don't have a brush right now, so I'm just gonna use a little bit in this spoon, and I'm just gonna kind of go like this. And then I'm just gonna kind of spread it around. And that should be good. Let's set the pizza aside and get our cheese shredded. Okay, so our chicken's done. I'm gonna go ahead and just shred it. If you wanna cut it in strips, you can. I just prefer shredding my chicken. But we'll go ahead and finish shredding this, and then let's start putting our pizza together. We're gonna start with the barbecue sauce, obviously, because this is basically like the marinara, but instead it's barbecue. And we use the hickory brown sugar. Adds a little bit of sweetness. It's pretty good. So we're just gonna put a good bit on here. And then I just use my spoon to spread it around. I'm probably gonna add more. You can be as generous as you want with what barbecue sauce you choose. Once you have the desired amount of barbecue sauce you want on the pizza, let's move on to the toppings. I usually do the meat first, so let's just put some chicken on the pizza. I just grab a handful and disperse it. All right, now we're going to move on to the cheese. I like to add mozzarella and sharp cheddar. The mixture of the two cheeses just adds a little extra flavor. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, for the final home stretch, let's add just a little bit of Parmesan on the pizza. I'm going to top it with some basil. This is optional. Gives a little extra flavor and makes it look like a little professional. My favorite part, we're gonna do a drizzle of barbecue sauce on top of the pizza, just like so. Oh, that was a fail, but you know what, that's okay. Okay, so let's get this in the oven. You're going to cook it at 425 degrees, and you're going to do it for about 25 minutes to 30 minutes. Sometimes the pizza does cook a little faster, so I would just recommend keeping an eye on it. Could take about 20, but let's just set it for 25 and I'll just keep looking at it and see how the crust is doing. So it looks like the pizza is actually done 5 minutes early, so I would shoot for about 20 minutes. Let's go ahead and get this pizza out. I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. Like I said earlier, this is a fun recipe to do with family or friends or even an at-home date night. Again, thank you so much. Like and subscribe.
Finger licking good special. That's what I'm talking about.